Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I'm fortunate to be here sitting with Jeffrey Lyon. He's the founder, the guy who created the Cyber Wild, and we're here to talk about things about cybersecurity, cyber safety, everything that has to do with digital protection. So, Jeffrey, let me ask you a quick question here. Yesterday, we had this whole AWS crash. And from what I've understood is basically that was contingent on some sort of a known error that happens somehow. Do you know anything more about that?
Daniel, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me onto your program. I'm looking forward to this conversation. The AWS crash, I haven't read up on it any more than the average person. I mean, it's to me, anytime you have a a situation like that, it is a security incident, regardless if it's done by bad guys or not,
Right.
because one of the three pillars of cybersecurity is availability. And well, a lot of people found out that things were not available yesterday when they woke up. And
Yeah, that's quite true. As a matter of fact, it's funny that we're talking about this because my post I put out today for on LinkedIn was about going dark, and it was just a brief story about your site's down. What are you going to do? You know? And
yeah,
my take on that is, well, you have to be clear, focused, and know what you're going to do before you freak out, panic, and wonder what you're going to do. And that's going to be communicating with your employees, your shareholders, your stockholders, whoever you can engage with, and let them know you're working on it. Here's what we know. That type of thing. Is
yeah.
that a pretty good way to look at it?
Have a plan. Know what a plan is.
Hmm.
Plan should tell you exactly who is responsible for what in it.
That's right.
And,
Absolutely.
and
So,
keep it updated.
so over the last year, have you seen any type of new cybersecurity threats or any ongoing things besides, AI, deepfakes, and all that kind of stuff?
Well, really, that's what we see most of the time is the AI deepfakes. There's ransomware is still very common. It's just that we're seeing things change in a way that it's no longer just the systems that are exploited, it's the people. And by that, they psychologically they are falling for the scams faster because AI is working with the scams. So your weakest link, which we want to make the first line of defense at the cyber wild, your weakest is still the human component.
Okay, so what I'm gathering, and this from my own research, is we are our own worst enemy when it comes to cybersecurity, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, okay. So what kind of training can we do? I try to propagate, stay aware of what link you're pushing. Don't push a weird link of people you never heard of before. If they're asking for confidential information, call them to make sure it's really them asking. Is there anything else we can do?
Yeah, you definitely call them. You'd never take it for granted that it's who you think it is, even if it sounds like even if it's the voice of your wife or your boss. It can be a deep fake that sounds just like them. I mean, you can take my voice. I don't know why you want to do that, but you can take my voice and and clone it to make it say different words. So if it has a large enough sample, then that's how they create the deep fakes with it.
So
So
what you're
every
basically
time you answer the phone and it's one of these random numbers and they try to get you to talk, there it could be something like that that's trying to record your voice.
And that's funny because I've got a few that were asking for specific phrases for me to use or
Really?
specific words. And I'm thinking, okay, this is shady as all get out right there. But I try to avoid those. I instantly spam the call, and delete it and all that kind of stuff. But let's look at the foundational approach. I mean, we're looking at something that's institutionalized, our being incapable of protecting ourselves. Somehow it's been institutionalized. Why would you say that's happening?
Would you think it's complacency?
Well,
That
that's one way.
some
Apathy,
people
complacency. Yeah,
they don't realize what they're giving up when they go online and provide all this information to who knows what. I mean, it's we are so we're conditioned now expecting to not expect privacy anymore. And I'm sorry, that's a slippery slope, and I think we need to pull ourselves out of it
right.
pretty fast.
Yeah. But won't that take a cultural change? I mean, we've been, as you and I both know, we educate ourselves. We're part of the culture we grew up in. And if we've been educated or culturalized to not care, to give up all this information, at what point are people going to finally go, duh, maybe I should change that? I mean, we do know that most people want to avoid pain as opposed to receive pleasure. So is this just mean, well, okay, well, we're just going to have to make this as painful on everybody as we possibly can for as long as we can until they get their head out of their backside or what?
I don't think being punitive is ever the answer, but let's reverse that.
Okay.
Let's make being vigilant less painful, making
Hmm.
it pleasurable.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how, but at this point, but we need to reprogram our minds to think of things that's just something we're not going to do, and this is something we are going to do, and we actually enjoy doing it.
Okay. So then looking at our enculturalization, where can we start integrating this type of information or training or need for people to move? I mean, you and I are just two different people. We have a couple different audiences, and I'm quite sure that you, just like I do, go out and try to educate people on the subject. It might work, it might not work. But how can we dive a little deeper? How can we get a bigger audience? I mean, especially now, this is October, Cybersecurity Awareness Month. How can we make something impactful with the most amount of people?
Well, I would say wear T-shirts with slogans on it, but that doesn't work. So, but I did collect a lot of them at the last convention I was at. We need to teach it to everyone, and we need to teach it differently. The best way, or a very effective way, would be to gamify it,
No, no,
and
that's true.
not just have it as a checklist that, yeah, we did this month and go on about. So you can have gamification. It could even be tabletop exercises, but it doesn't have to be anything that elaborate. In a work environment, you could have it where whoever catches the most spam or the most identifies the most phishing attacks that are valid phishing attacks wins a prize, a free cup of coffee somewhere.
Well, that's true. That would work out. I could
Yeah.
understand that. Make it pleasurable to actually work the process in some way. So
Hmm.
we mentioned like a lot of specific type of threats. They come from everywhere. Like I've done a little homework and I understand phishing is rising right now just because the holiday seasons are coming. People are going to be spending money. There's organizations out there looking for you to donate anything and everything you possibly can. So there's going to be a lot of phishing attacks coming. Is that like a bedrock place to start securing ourselves, understanding the phishing attacks, and then work out from there? Or is there something else we can do?
There will still be the phishing attacks. But the best thing we can do, well, there are two things. Number one, how can we prevent the attacks from even getting to your inbox?
Okay.
And a lot of times that's something that the end user may not have access to do. I mean, if it's a corporate network, yeah, you need to bring on a good product that scans the stuff and blocks it out before it gets into your mailbox. Something like Iron Scales, for example, is a great tool to use. But then on the home front, it's again, it's knowing how to spot a phishing message.
Yeah, well, I'm fortunate. I keep and I'm not going to name the brand name. It's a brand name software for antivirus, anti-malware, and it does phishing searches on my email, and I'll get a pop-up says, we've quarantined this email because it had this, or this in there. It was a phishing attack or whatever. I'm saying, okay, well, that's cool. That's nice. I understand that. That's good. So these things are available for people to get. They simply just
Yes, they
have to
are.
do that, right?
Yes, they are, as well as the training. I'm actually providing the software for training to individuals now at that level.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because I mean, or to families, really. I want to look at the family to protect them
Hmm.
because the way it works, we send out an email that is a phishing campaign intentionally, and you're trying to get people to spot the the tips that make it the giveaways that make you realize it is a phishing attempt and not the real thing. Now, for example, you might get an email that looks like a LinkedIn connection request, and you look at it closer. Well, let's say you click on it, and instead of actually getting the LinkedIn request, you'll get a message from my team saying, "Sorry, you clicked on a simulated phishing attempt, and here are some guidelines to help you out." And the thing is, it's not punitive. It's not like, oh, we got you. We teach you. It's a teaching moment,
Okay.
and
And
we have
and
to
and these
starting at the
clients,
top level. We have to change that mindset to where we're not. It's not punitive. It's education.
okay, and they're aware that this can be happening, right?
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
Well, that would be good. I mean, if you tell, well, let's take a hypothetical situation. I've got a small business with 100 employees, and we're worried about this type of thing because everybody works on their computer. And I say, well, I hired Jeff. He's coming in here and he's going to be working with us. What he's going to be doing is some educational processing on phishing attacks. So you can be looking out for emails that could be phishing emails because he's going to
yep.
send you some. you know, and that also gives them an opportunity. So tell me then, though, what are some of the key things we could look at right off the top in an email to know that it's a phishing attack?
Certain keywords, the word free, for example, something that sounds too good to be true, just in the delivery of it.
Right,
But in the old days being last year, we used to say, look for misspelled words. But with AI, misspelled words are less common.
right. Okay. So then you might be looking at phrases. You can tell
You
if the
can look at
person that wrote it is
phrase,
an
yeah, look
English
at
speaker or
phrases,
something.
yeah, words that might be legitimate words, but used in the wrong manner.
Okay.
Um, it's like I can tell when there's a spammer or somebody phishing me. When I live in a town called Rock Hill, and an interpreter, like a language interpreter, might see Rock Hill and change that from their language, let's say Chinese Mandarin, to English. Instead of Rock Hill, it comes back as Stone Mountain.
Okay. Well, that does make sense. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a giveaway on a couple of them. But
Okay.
uh,
Well, tell me, here's what I do when I'm suspicious and there's links. I'll just cursor over the link and look at the pop-up
that is the
and
best way.
see what it's reading. Does it even match LinkedIn or YouTube or whoever? If it goes off to some soliloquy and RU, I can pretty much guess that it's bad, right?
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. You have that, and then even on your phone, you get a lot of text messages that will tell you that you got a bill past due, or you have a ticket from a toll road. And when you look at it, it's got a different country road from. I mean, it's not the One Plus that we have in the U.S. It's
Mhm.
somewhere far away, usually.
Yeah, I've got a couple of those. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so let's think, okay, so the tools are available for individuals, families, and businesses. And people who have not taken the time to investigate or to get into it for whatever reason could be thinking, well, that's just too expensive for me, even though it might not be. So do you have any ideas of any budget-friendly tools that people can at least get started with so they can start protecting themselves?
Yes, I mean there are several tools out there that are well, there are free versions that are limited, but regardless, they are still free for the starters until somebody needs something more complex.
Okay.
But a lot of your protection can be done without a special tool. And by that, I mean, watch how you use your passwords. Watch how you change your passwords. Never share passwords. Never use the same password for more than one site. And if that's too complicated to remember, get a password manager. Well, yeah, that too, but that's that's volatile, right?
Yeah, you never know where it's going to end up at. That's true.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But a password manager is good. Like I was talking about this service I use, they have a built-in password manager and I can use it across all my devices, which is nice. And it protects
Yeah.
all of my devices, so that's even better. So let's look at some leadership issues here. If you're the father, the mother, the business owner, you're in a position of leadership. What is your mindset? How can we separate an organization or family that might recover quickly from one that will not? What can the leadership actually do?
Communicate.
Communication. Okay.
Communication is the key. Let's say you're a family, you need to communicate something on your child's level.
Hmm.
Again, not punitive, but this is a safety. This is a I want you to be aware that this could happen and what you should do in the event.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Have
Have that conversation with your kids
the conversation.
because you never know what kind of conversation you might have in the future because you can open a conversation, right?
Yeah. And even to the point we're having a cybersecurity talk every month or so, or maybe a certain hour every. I think a week might be too frequent with people's busy lives, but it's that's an easy, no cost situation. And I'm actually putting together a little document, I guess an ebook is what it'll be that is how to talk to your kids about cybersecurity.
I'd be interested in seeing that. That'd be very
Yeah.
valuable.
And it will be on my website once it's available, or I'll have a link from my website where you can get to it. But there are some things you can do. The password manager, like I said, there's NordPass, there's LastPass, One Password, all of those, and I can provide all of those to people as well.
Okay, so
Uh,
you've done your own vetting of these because sometimes I worry about getting an email or a text about here, you got to protect yourself from such and such. Click this link. I'm saying, perfect scammer there. I mean, you know what I mean? They're telling me to
yeah,
protect
no,
myself. Go to this link.
you got to check that link, but yeah, and that's a hard one because when I'm telling people, here's what you need, and I'm giving them a link, how do they know I'm not a scammer? I mean,
Yeah, we have
it's
those
just,
things going on, don't we? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of
Or,
sad.
or what prevents all of my messages from going into somebody's spam jail? It's hard.
Okay,
It's
well,
a
let's take
tough
our
balance.
cybersecurity a little deeper from just spam and phishing and stuff like that. Let's look at like the Internet of Things. You know, more and more homes are becoming smart
Hmm.
and they're on the internet. Are there ways that a bad actor can actually access and do something with your Internet of Things and cause you harm?
I don't have the ideal answer for that. I'm the best approach really is keeping things updated, keeping them off the public internet, and I get bombarded with calls. Oops. Okay, and just not make it accessible. And one way you can do that is to protect your perimeter with your router. Make
Okay.
sure that you change that. I know who that is. Call me twice. make sure that you change the default password on every piece of equipment you got. So if you got a router, Linksys or Cisco, whatever we use nowadays, I think mine's T-Link, but you never keep that same password on it. And the same goes for your printers or any other device that's in there, an IoT device, if it's even possible to change it.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question because it's something I was doing some homework on, and it said what we can do, and I've never seen it done. I don't know how to do it. That's why I'm asking you, is
Okay.
have on my router, my Wi-Fi, I can have my private lockdown link, and then I can have a guest access, which will be limited linking, or
Hmm.
my Internet of Thing access, which will be limited linking. How do we do that with the Wi-Fi? I'm clueless.
It was segmentation.
Okay, so it can be done, but we
It
might
can
need
be
a little
done, yes.
education to do it, right?
Maybe, but like we typically have a guest network on our home Wi-Fi. So I think every unit I've seen in the last 10 years would have a way to have multiple networks.
Oh, okay.
And so you can segregate those. So you have one network that's for your personal family use that you want this to be your most protected network.
Hmm.
Then you might have another network with a different set of IP addresses that's on that's on a different segment for your guest.
Or your children's friends.
Yes, yes. And then if you want to get even more technical, then have another one for active devices within your home that you may not be logging into I mean, I wouldn't put my televisions on it right now because you would have a trouble getting from one network to the other. But things like well, if you have an IoT, I don't know why we really need a toaster with an IP address, but let's say you did, you would want that on a separate network.
Okay, this is like
Um,
this
my
refrigerators. I've seen a lot of refrigerators with barcode scanning, so they can tell you when to buy new groceries. Would that be a type of thing you want separated?
I possible. I don't know what the risks really are for the refrigerator. I don't know if I'd even call that an IoT device. I guess it could be. All depends on how strong the processor is in it. Another thing I see is like at my house, I have an irrigation system that's controlled by my phone,
Hmm.
and that should be on a network that can't be accessed from the outside. I mean, none of them should be accessible beyond that perimeter.
Okay. So
So
those,
don't punch holes in the perimeter.
right. Okay. So tell me just briefly, for someone like myself or another individual who's watching this would be interested in segregating their IP addresses or their web address, how do we go about doing that? What's the process?
Well, it's going to depend on the router that you have and if it's even capable of doing it.
Okay. So contact your service provider and ask them.
Yeah, maybe, or if it's even capable of having different zones, and then the problem comes when you try to get from one zone to the other, and if the routing is not set up properly between them, it becomes the pain becomes much worse than the risk at times.
Oh, okay.
Guilty is charged.
I can relate to that actually. Okay, so let's move
Yeah.
ahead then. So
Another option would be to have multiple routers. I mean, these things are cheap now. You put one in your main area for your day-to-day connections,
right.
and then you have another one that could be upstairs. I mean, that's I actually have that. So it's like two different networks. But
Okay.
but I honestly I do have some difficulty with them talking to each other just because I don't have that layer of um, for lack of a better word, I'll use firmware, but the software that actually controls the router may may not be designed so that it can reach beyond its own
Okay.
subnet.
So it might not be okay. So it has a lot to do with the hardware and the software that's working with it, right?
Right.
Okay, so that'll take some investigation on our behalf with the service provider to, because they gave us the hardware, they gave us the router, right? And then I know I see at, all the stores like Best Buy, I can go buy a different router and somehow that's what you're talking about, an alternate router that hooks in with the main one somehow, but then deviates or,
Sure. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. And it becomes a, I think we used to call it like a hub and spoke. Well,
okay.
maybe not, but you have one router, and then that one router might have a line going out to other routers. So the one of the inputs to your main router would be the uplink line from your secondary.
Well, here's the dilemma on this, because I've been seeing a lot lately are going wireless, they're going straight to Wi-Fi routers. You know what I
Yep.
mean? You can't even plug into them anymore. So is that being lazy and cheap on the manufacturer's behalf, or is that somehow
No,
better?
no, it's because, well, I can give you a perfect example of why that would be better. And I'm using Wi-Fi. I built my house like 23 years ago, and I put in Cat 5 all through the
Okay.
house, from room to room, to a central complex.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh man, I thought I was a wire genius back then. Well, guess what? Cat 5 maxes out at 100 megabits per second.
Okay.
And,
So it's no
and
longer
now
efficient.
we're typically getting at least gigabit speeds from our uplinks.
Okay. All right. That makes
So
sense.
if you use a wireless that, let's say a mesh network that has uh, access points posted throughout the house in convenient places, and you have to test it. There's no one way to do it. Then you're going to have a better situation than with the high speeds at a longer. Not you're not being limited to the 100 base T that I have.
Okay. Well, I remember what almost a decade ago, that was the big thing there. They were revamping cities with the light wire, I don't remember what they called it, but it was all light, not electric. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, uh, but I didn't know they were running.
Well, they sort of died for some reason. I remember the
Okay.
infrastructure was being changed and then it's just sort of disappeared for whatever reason. And I'm only bringing this up
Yeah.
because now I've seen a resurgence of it, but I can't remember the name of. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But let's look ahead. What are some emerging trends or emerging threats we should be aware of? Are there any, or is it just the same old stuff?
I would say it's the same old stuff, but that same old stuff is getting smarter and smarter every day.
Okay. So,
So, like I said earlier, AI will be used by hackers, will be used by spammers, cyber criminals, and they're always going to be, well, I don't want to say they're always going to be one up on us, but we got to keep up with them. We can't let them get ahead.
okay, so it's the downside is we have to be vigilant for our own protection.
We have to be
But actually,
vigilant for
that's
our
the
protection.
upside also, because we cannot rely on all the good, happy-go-lucky stuff going on around us, because there's always somebody out there trying to take something from us, right?
Right.
Okay, so
Uh,
what are some practical takeaways? Let me see. We've talked about spam, phishing, hardware for our Wi-Fi, using routers to segregate Wi-Fi at different places of the house. Is there any other practical takeaways we're going to look at here?
well, using multi-factor authentication. Have we
Oh,
talked about that
2FA?
already?
No, we
Yeah,
didn't talk about
MFA
that.
or some
I
people
know it.
call it 2FA,
Yeah.
two-factor. But always do that. Keep up
Okay.
with your training, keep up with your patching of the systems. Um, I'm sorry, you will have to reboot them occasionally. And
Yeah.
mine's got I need to reboot button on it right now because I think we had an update from Microsoft last night. But always do that. Um, keep backups and not just keep backups, but keep them off-site, disconnected.
Like an
Uh, e-
external drive or something like that.
on a thumb drive, yeah. I mean, I like having a cloud backup, but sometimes we need something that can't be accessed by anybody under any circumstance unless you pick up a physical device and you put it in your computer.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm all in that myself. I have a couple external backups just because of that. Because the cloud, you think, oh, the cloud, keep a cloud. Well, it's up in the cloud. Who says it's safe? I mean, I'm just what I'm thinking out loud here.
It never goes down, right?
Well, that's what well, we never know, do they?
It never goes down. That's what AWS said anyway until what, yesterday.
Okay, so it's about time to close up. So tell me, Jeffrey, how can people track you down and get some more information from you? Is there any way or anything you'd like to mention or bring up that you would like them to come to your website and look at?
Sure. Well, my website again, and if you can see it from my screen, from my fake background or the QR code, it's www.thecyberwild.com. And with that, you can look at some of the information I have. I'm still building it, so I have some blog material out there, but it's not anything that I'm promoting that well yet. But I will also have various things that you can download from it that would help different business sectors, different people. So, for example, I mentioned I'm working on one that will give families a good starting point to talk about cybersecurity with their kids.
I'm
I will
looking forward to
also,
that. Yes.
yeah, I'll also have a kind of like what you have, a one-page incident response plan, or what we're going to do, who does what when, and where it will be stored, who's responsible for each item that has to be taken care of.
Okay, so let's look at businesses. Let's take, here's what I hear you say you like to help the families. You want to get to the children and educate them. Same here. But I've discovered that a lot of these families work for businesses. So if I can get the business online, then I can get more families. So how can we look at businesses who are cyber risky for whatever reason and bring them up to speed so that they can bring their families up to speed so that way the whole environment has the same brain frame?
Well, much of it is the same process. You start from the inside with the training.
Hmm.
And in the business, it's even more complicated because to do the training and to do have the rules, you need governance.
Right.
So that means creating policies, understanding what your policies mean, uh, making sure there are no ambiguities in the policies.
Okay, so is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like to mention? Anything we haven't discussed that you think is valuable and important that you want people to know?
Sure, there is something. We have something called a SOC, which is Security Operations Center, and that SOC monitors systems 24/7. Now, 10 years ago, that was something that was just reserved for large companies that had a whole team of people sitting in a room looking at the screens all day. Now we have something called manage, detect, and respond, which means that a smaller organization, even a mom and pop organization, or even you, Daniel, even me, can have our stuff monitored 24/7 by my security team. And when they see something that looks out of whack or an anomaly, they see me logging in from Russia, and then again from China, and then who knows, Antarctica. They see something like that, and they know, well, that can't be physically possible. So let's find out what's going. So they'll dig a little deeper into the logins and look at the logs. And actually, the SIM does a lot of that for them. The SIM is an early form of AI, actually,
Okay,
and now with AI enhanced, it's much more efficient. And
that sounds good.
companies no longer need to spend millions of dollars on having their own internal SOC team. They can outsource it to to teams like ours. And I mean, there are several out there that were good. My previous employer had a very good one as well. That's what I did for them. but it's available and it's not as expensive as people would think it is.
So cost effectiveness is starting to happen because of technological advancements. I think that's what I hear you saying. All right.
Yes,
All
yes.
right. Good. So technology has some benefits, doesn't it?
It has its benefits. Yes, it
All
does.
right. All right. Well, that's actually very good. So, okay. So all you people listening out there, we're going to have all of Jeffrey's contact information down at the bottom of the blog here. I'm going to be putting this up on my podcast and my blog for other people to see. And your information up there is www.thecyberwild.com. At a minimum, go there, find out what Jeffrey's got going out to reach out to him and ask your questions. How's that sound, Jeffrey?
That sounds great. And again, there's a form that you can fill out on there to just will get you to a conversation with me scheduled. And it could be for any of these items. It doesn't have to be just for what it's saying a discovery call for your company. It's if you need help, let's talk about it. Let's figure out how we can best help you. What fits.
All right. Well, that sounds great. Well, this is Daniel Kilburn with Emergency Action Planning and Jeffrey with the cyberwild.com. And we're going to call it a day. We're out of here. Bye, Jeffrey.
Bye bye.